International Fellowship was something you founded. And before, when I earlier came, you told me how the people, the impact. So can you talk more about it?
Yes, we started the Rescue Mission Fellowship right from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria.
Okay.
You know, that is the idea that came into my mind.
Okay.
In Nebu Zaria. Okay. While in Nebu Zaria, what happened was that I didn't like the way Nusas, I hope you know Nusas, yes. You were a student, yes. Nusas were doing their thing. Okay. I suggested some certain things to Nusas about developing our people. That was what I wanted. But they didn't like that idea. Because I felt we were marginalized. And one of the ways to remain marginalized is when you decide to marginalize your own self. So I decided to say, if people are marginalizing us, why will we also marginalize ourselves? That one of the suggestions I suggested to Nusas around that time in Nebu area was any money we were getting for whatever we were doing, instead of printing almanac, instead of printing whatever it was, let's use it for community development. They didn't like that idea. No, they didn't like that idea. I was the finance secretary of the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria Nusas. So when I suggested that, they refused, and they went and did what they did. I brought up another thing that could have helped. That is to say, okay, if this money we are collecting, I was reading BSc accounting, I can do a lot of costing for them. Somebody was reading engineering, he could do a little something for culverts. Yeah. Now, so all we needed to do is carry this money that we are doing, and then go back to the village. Today we can pick one side of Sayawa land, yes, and say, okay, let's build this there, and then maybe it's a culvert. Yes. At least, if we keep doing it like that, maybe 20 years, 40 years after, we would have covered the whole of that land, yeah, either with bridges. If God begin to bless, as people begin to see us with developmental capacity as a union, a lot of people will be interested.
And it has been a trend.
Yes.
Any expo of Nusas, any school, come on to project that.
Good. So they say no. I say, okay, why don't we do tutorial for our juniors? We here are in the tertiary institution. Most of you, when you go home, you don't do anything, yeah, apart from attending party and running around with girls and boys. Why don't we use that opportunity? You go. The money that we are gathering here will give you as pocket money. So that when you go there, we'll buy chalk, we'll buy all other things, and organize tutorials in all other areas. They say no. So at that point, I now took their finance book with the whole money that was in my. They were keeping. I was not just the finance secretary. They were keeping the money in my hand. Okay. I took their book and their money and everything, and when I handed over to them, I said, "I not do again. I don't want to be a member of Nusas any longer." So it was from there that I started thinking of what can I do to be able to help our land. Now, holistically. Meanwhile, I was trained as a discipler. Yes. If you are trained as a discipler and as a true disciple of Jesus Christ, there are three approaches to human life that you must always touch. You must touch his spiritual life. You must touch his mind. You must touch his, his physical life. Spirit, soul, and body. Spirit, soul, and body. That is holistic. Spirit, teach him the Bible. Core, to the core, teach him the Bible. But don't stop there. If you teach him the Bible and you don't teach him these other two areas, there will be problem. He will be so spiritual, but he will forget that he should be useful on this earth. So you educate him. That is his mind. In the mind is buried the intellect, is buried also the emotion, and is also buried the will of a man. With the intellect, he gathers information. He stores information. He processes information. He applies information. That's why he went to school. That's why I went to school. It was our intellect at work. So, but this education that we gathered was not enough. You must be able to apply it. Then, also, you must touch his body. which is this one.
Yes.
When you came here, you were doing all those things, and then you have to look fine as a woman. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now all these things they biblically they are all there.
Okay.
You don't just concentrate on one of those three and leave the others. So my perspective was that if I was going to transform Zarland, I was going to transform it holistically. It means if I was going to be a pastor, I won't be like the pastors in the village there. No. And if I was going to be a pastor, instead of them paying me money to be a pastor, I would rather have more than enough money to give to people. I hope you are beginning to see my life now completely. So all this, I started thinking about them in Ahmadu Bello University Zaria when I decided to leave Nusas. I didn't hate Nusas, but I thought it was ignorant. They didn't know what was saying. So when I was through with that, I prayed about it. I was always fasting virtually every day. If I didn't fast in my life, it was 3 times in a week. If I didn't fast at all in the whole week, it was 3 days in a week. So as a result of that, I started sharing that with some people, right from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Thank God when we were going for NYSC, people like Professor Nanyi Joshua, of I think she's of ATB Zaria now also. Now I shared the idea with her. She too started sharing the idea with other people like that. So immediately when we finished our NYC, we did our NYC together with her in Ondo State. So it was easy for the two of us to be able to sit down and harness those thoughts together. And then I planned, but before we could finish our NYC, I had already a 3-year program, 10-year program for the Rescue Mission Fellowship. The first 3 years were the ones that, 1 year was to introduce it, 3 years was to go into some certain things. Then the final 6 years were to go into some certain developmental something and application of all these things. So when we went there, we went holistically. Now, so when we got to Bauchi, and I started work in Bauchi, she too started work in Bauchi, then we looked for graduates. I didn't want this idea. I knew there were people of like-mindedness like me too, from other universities, but didn't have this idea. So we sold these ideas, and as God will have it, we were able to get 37 people, which was exactly the number I learned. Maybe somebody will verify that. I learned that from Baba Peter Gonto, there were 37 ZAR people that received Christianity from the beginning.
Okay.
But we didn't know it like that.
Okay.
No, it was of recent, much later. In fact, maybe 5 years ago that I got to know that. That there were 37, and my father was one of them.
Oh, I'm not sharing it.
Me too. Yes, I got to hear about it. I said, somebody when I said he was digging the archives and he saw the names. There were 37 in number. So when he told me, I said, but we too, when we started Rescue Mission Fellowship, do you know we were 37 in number? So that was how we started Rescue Mission Fellowship, and our approach was holistic. Virtually all of us were either graduates from Polytechnic or from the Nigerian universities. So our IQ was quite very high. And when we came in, the only churches that were there were Koki, Catholic, Baptist was wobbling like this. Whether we would stand or we would fall. The same thing with Ekwa. Then I think there was the CAC. Then we know Yoruba, wherever Yoruba people are, they were there. So those are the only two. Other Pentecostal churches, no one single one. So when we started, the revolution started. Persecution everywhere. We were dealt with. Young people were sent out of their churches. But we kept at it. We got to a point when we had to buy our land. We got to a point when we had to have all our gadgets. No any of those churches I've mentioned that allow us to use their facilities except CAC. Because CAC people were Yoruba people and we knew them right from the south. They were Pentecostals. Yes. So they knew what we were doing. They were at home with it. So anytime we were holding program, they would just allow us. But if it was we were holding a crusade outside of Tafa Balewa, we have to sleep under the bare ground. We went to places like during December, wind would be blowing us. we were sleeping on bare sand. Graduates. And yet, that is why today, if you go to our land, you see Pentecostal churches, you see those developments. Do you know that when we started that, I brought in what we call skill acquisition? Yes, whenever we went for our programs, we will tell them it is not only spiritual. We will speak spiritual, but we will tell you go and learn something. Then we told them that a day should come in the whole of this land that any person that comes to buy grain in our land will meet a Sayawa man in the market there to buy it. If you are going to repair your shoe, it should be a Sayawa man. If it is somebody that has to do, with the motor park, it must be a Sayawa man or woman. If it is somebody that has to sell goods or whatever, it must be a Sayawa man. Then we introduce shoe factory. Then send somebody to Aba also to go there and learn how to make shoes. A Sayawa man. He came back and opened his shoe factory. He's late now, but the shoe factory is still there. Now, all these things we were doing to eliminate non-indigens. Not that we hated non-indigens, no. But we wanted a situation whereby this marginalization that we are talking about, let's free ourselves. Bauchi State government will not help us. They will not help us. They will not do anything for us. So why don't you liberate yourself? You have the capacity there. So why don't you do it? Okay, for example, one of the things that I like with our people was that when we were denied education in Bauchi State, our people found places and they go to Plateau State, Taraba State, and like me, I didn't do my schooling. I didn't do one class in Bauchi State. My school was in Namu Primary School, secondary school in Plateau, Kuru, University, Kaduna. Do you know that the day they were going to interview me in Bauchi State, the first question that somebody asked me on the interview panel was, we saw that all your documents are Plateau. What does that mean? I got angry and I told him, I said, it is not your responsibility to ask me that question. He said, young man, you asked me that, you talk to me like, I said, yes, I talk to you like that because that is not your area. You are here to interview me whether I'm professionally qualified to get this job or not. So the chairman said, please, can you ask him professional question? But young man, why did you say that? I said, he is not qualified to ask me that question because is it not on record that Bauchi State paid my scholarship fee in Ahmadu Bello University's area? They said yes. I said, so if it is Bauchi State that paid my scholarship fee in ABU's area, it means they paid a fake person. Is that? Or he was not an indigent, they just went and, or Bauchi, the scholarship board didn't do his job. Yes. So I said, this question that this man is asking me is supposed to have been asked by the scholarship board. Why is he asking me this question? So the chairman said, no, let's not go there. And they started asking me professional questions. And when I was leaving, they said, come back in 2 weeks and collect your job. And 2 weeks time when I came, my letter of employment was ready. And you know the funny thing, they posted me to the man who was almost asking the same question. And it was this same person that saw the kind of intelligence that God gave me in accounting and auditing that suggested that they should get a work for me at the federal level. That staying in the state level, they would kill that talent that I had in that very profession. The same man. So you see, by the time we were able to maneuver our way like that, we were able to touch strategically every area. It's not only pastors that we raise. We have raised politicians. Dogara was the secretary of Rescue Mission Fellowship. Okay. Yes, he was a one-time secretary of the Rescue Mission Fellowship. Okay. Is there any politician of high repute in this country that is not there? That's why today they call me daddy. Okay. Dogara was one. His wife was a member. Okay. You get it now? Okay. How do you call this other? Kefas Magaji was a member. You know, Barrister Kefas Magaji was a member. He was one time, how do you call it, Bible Studies Secretary of the whole group. No, the secretary. Was one time the secretary. Professor Yalams, the Commissioner of Agriculture today,
Yes.
he was the Bible Study Secretary of the Rescue Mission Fellowship.
Okay.
Professor Lawi,
Okay.
Professor Nani,
Okay.
all of them, the 37 of us that started that thing, none of us, there's none of us that God didn't bless, beginning from me. You get what I'm saying now? So when we did that, our approach, the reason why the transformation came, we had a 10-year agenda to transform the whole of our land and then to pray for our land for 10 solid years. And that's why you see development everywhere today. A lot of people are enjoying, but they don't know how. But God also decided to reward me. Today I have an NGO that the whole of northeastern part of this country, nobody has that kind of an edifice.
The Glory and Power Fellowship International. So is it an offshoot of the Rescue Mission, or is it just a new one that you started?
No, what really happened was that we started Rescue Mission Fellowship out of our zeal in those days. We didn't know the importance of registering it with the CSC.
Okay.
You get it now? So we were just running it and enjoying ourselves and seeing the fruits. So one day, by the time people like Barrister Kefa's Magaji, who is a lawyer, decided now we sat down at the ESCO level and were able to come up with the authentic constitution of the fellowship. So, and the constitution was there. So one of these days, by the time we go to a particular point, we now took the name to be registered with CSC. They said another organization had taken it. And you know, in CSC, those of us that read a little bit of law, even in accounting, you can't do that. You can't change, and you cannot register, so they now said we have to go and look for another name. So that is why we now decided to pick this other name. Now, Glory and Power Fellowship. Why do we call it Glory and Power Fellowship? The other one was Rescue Mission Fellowship. We've done some rescue to some level. Why don't we bring some glory and some still power over the life of our people, so that our people will not just remain as being rescued. They are rescued all the time. At least you should have some glory, and then have some power to do some certain things on your own. And if you watch it, it is Glory and Power Fellowship International. So it is no longer a Sayawa thing any longer. It's everybody. Even Rescue Mission Fellowship, later on we had to put international because the Badawas around other tribal people started saying, okay, these Sayawa people only love themselves. But they were coming to the fellowship. They said they discovered that, in fact, the original name of Rescue Mission was, the original name of it was Tafa Abelewa Christian Youth Fellowship. Then later on, they told us to change the name. So they said I should go and pray about it. So I was the president. So I now, even though the vision was mine, I insisted that we must do election. And the whole of them elected me. And later on made me a life president. So that's why you can see that. So it was then that we decided to change the name. When we changed the name, how did we come about the name? It's Proverbs 24 verse 11 and verse 12 from the Living Bible. It says very clearly that rescue them that are unjustly sentenced to death. That is from the Living Bible. So that's why the name Rescue Mission Fellowship. Who are those that are unjustly sentenced to death? By who? By the devil. So let's go rescuing them. So that was it. And the reason why we had this is because the bite of the Christian faith that we had from Baba Gonto and other places, other people, because my father was the first generation Christian. If Baba Gonto and others were the first generation Christian, my father was the second generation Christian. I am the third generation Christian. Then suddenly in our own time, we saw Christianity getting down and rotten. And nobody was doing anything about it. Nobody. So that's why we decided to say, okay, let's rescue this thing and then bring some glory back over it.
Yeah. So you pioneered tree planting in the Holy Land of Israel. Tell us how you
Yes. I pioneered tree planting in Israel. I didn't know that I was going to be the pioneer from Nigeria. I never knew. What happened was that one day I was watching Club 700. This TBN. And so I was watching them, and one of the men that was actually championing that cause saw it, and then he was selling the idea to the whole world that people should buy trees and plant in Israel. And he now says, for every one tree you will plant in Israel is $20. $20. So I was able to raise $200 on my own. So I now send it through the link that, how do you call it? The TBN 700 Club sent it. I sent it, the $200 went, but it came back to me. You know, the white man is a very sincere man. And sent a word to me that, sorry, you sent this $200, but we were not able, the bank was not able to locate the very place where the $200 was to be sent. So they brought it back to me. So when they brought it back to me, I collected my money. I didn't know what to do. Then suddenly there was an opportunity for me also to travel to Israel. I was the head of the last set of the federal government delegation from Abuja here. So I was the chairman. So I said, so when that thing came, then the idea came back. I said, that your $200 that you were going to buy trees in Israel, why don't you carry it now and go to Israel yourself with it, and then go and look for where they sell the trees and buy it and plant it. You see, all this while, you know that I wouldn't know I was going to be a pioneer. I was just doing something that I saw people doing it, and that's so. When I took my own $200. Then when I go to the airport, somebody gave me, I wouldn't call the name because it's from our land. He sent the wife, because the wife was traveling with me too. So he gave her about, let me call the name, it's the Dogara. He sent me pocket money. He said, the wife was also traveling with me. He said, it's like, since you are going on pilgrimage with your daddy, when you go and you meet him, give him this $1,500. Tell him that is my own pocket money for him. You should go and buy something for yourself and mommy and bring it. So when she gave me that money, I removed the tithes and added to the $200. So when we go to Israel, since I was the chairman and the head of that delegation, I sold the idea to them. So when I sold the idea to them, we were contributing money, but they didn't know where to get the trees. I think we were on our way from Tel Aviv to Caesarea. Yes, to Caesarea. That was where we were on our way to. And then I now asked our tour guide, I said, please, where can I buy a tree in Israel to plant? He was surprised, he was shocked. He looked at me and said, Bishop, you want to buy a tree and plant in Israel? I said, yes. How did you get to know about that? I said, I saw it on television. He said, buying a tree for us in Israel is like giving us gold. I said, you mean it? He said, oh, if all of you that come on pilgrimage here would always buy a tree for us. This is the first time I'm hearing a pilgrim saying he will plant trees in Israel. He said, do you know what? I said, no. He said, if you buy one tree for you, we'll give you a certificate to celebrate you.
He will give you a certificate.
He said?
So they'll even give you a certificate.
Yes, they'll give you a certificate. If I had known that this question will come up, so I would have brought my archives and you'll see the certificate. So I said, you give me a certificate for planting a tree. He said, you see, what is gold in other places is not gold here. Our own is a tree. So he said, okay, I'll give you two addresses. One is in Tel Aviv and one is in Jerusalem. So he quickly said, no, if I give you the one in Jerusalem, they speak Hebrew. You will not understand them. But the one in Tel Aviv is the one that speaks English. So later on in the day, I think the following day, he was able to get the address. Because since it was a very important thing like that, he gave me, I called him. It was a lady. So when she picked it, he said, I learned you want to you want to plant trees for us in Israel. I said, oh, thank you so very much. We are very, very grateful. Oh, this is a very, very laudable development and we are so happy. So I said, how much does it cost to buy a tree? She said, $10. I said, wow, $10? Huh? Me, I want to buy almost about that. 150. I had already $1,500. I had already $150, isn't it? because it was 1,500. So 150,000. I said, I have already $150 plus 200. That is $250. How many trees? That's 35 trees. You say, wow, one tree is, how do you call it? So I said, okay. I decided to buy 3 for my wife, for 4 3 each for all of us. For my wife, for myself, for my 4 children, then for this church. And then I sold the idea to all other places. But Dogara's wife had it. She said, she will buy also for her husband, for her children, everyone. So all the pilgrims started gathering money like that. We gathered money. I think we bought about 135 trees.
Oh, you're happy with that send off?
Yeah, so we told him. Now we send the money directly to the people. And they told us that the moment when we arrive Nigeria, that our certificates will come. And the moment when we arrive, not long after that, the whole of our certificates arrive. Everyone with the tree that he bought in Israel. And they said, do you know that you are the first person to start this kind of a thing? So most time now, when Nigerian pilgrims go there and they ask Israel, what do you want to do for us? We tell them, buy a tree for us. So that was how it all started. But I didn't know that I was the first to start it. It was when the whole thing was done, and they now said I was the first that started it. Yes.
It has been over 20 years since your consecration as a bishop. How has it been?
It has been so good. Very good. I got consecrated as a bishop in 2003. 2003 precisely. So this year makes it 21 years. Yes. Of course, it was something that I didn't like. Naturally, Kabda, I don't like titles.
Okay.
Yes, I don't like titles. All my life, if you are looking for me to receive a title, I didn't like it. I personally believe most of the people that God used in the Bible, they were using the title. The human beings later on gave them titles. Apostle this, prophet this, priest this, and so on. But if not, most times everybody will just hear Paul,
Yes.
Peter. So I didn't like that. To be a pastor, they had to pursue me to collect the title of a pastor. To become a senior pastor, they had to pursue me to become one. To be a bishop, they pursued me for 3 years. In fact, they announced my bishop-elect. I was not there. So that by the time I came, the announcement had already gone. But there wasn't anything I could do. Yes. So, somehow also, it was something that in the whole of our land, but I didn't also know.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't also know that nobody had ever become a bishop among the whole Zad people.
I remember, I think after they gave you the title, you came and did Thanksgiving. I don't know whether it was in Tafa Balewa or...
It was in Tafa Balewa.
I don't know how my mother got the invite. Maybe then she was an elder in church.
Yes.
I don't know, but she went for the Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So she came back with the souvenir.
Yes.
It was a hand towel.
Okay, yes.
So when she just came, I was still there, she just shoot the hanky next to me.
Yeah.
We have a bishop. I said, you have a bishop where? So yes, first they say he wants to be a bishop, not a bishop. So she was excited. So I was wondering, what was it? I didn't understand. I didn't understand why. I started like, do you know you might put it? She said, no. They say he and after she's bishop.
It was
so how was the feeling? Like, what was the feeling?
Me, I didn't know, because honestly, when they said they would make me a bishop, my own archbishop presently here, he was the one that saw it all. As far as I'm concerned, the credit goes to him, because he insisted I must be made a bishop. So I told him no, that I didn't want to be made a bishop. In fact, let them call me brother. As far as I'm doing my work, I didn't have anything. So by the time I was consecrated, the whole of our land was here. Okay. They were here. The 2 local governments, they were here with their representatives, their vehicles, and also so many. It's just that I think The state government too was represented. Then also Plateau people.
Okay.
You know, Plateau people, that is my second.
Yes.
They were here. The emir and all his dogares were here.
Okay.
So they all came, and after all those things, then somebody, it was after a year or two that somebody came and whispered to my ears. I said, do you know that you are the first bishop in the whole of Bauchi State and Zaria? I said, me? I said, no, it's a lie. I said, it's a lie. I said, about Christianity has been in our land for so long. He said, maybe you are so busy that you didn't check all these things. And maybe that is not your area, or that has never been your area of interest. Yeah. So I said, then they check. I now really ask one or two people to check. And when they check, they say, yes, we have never had any bishop, whether Anglican, Catholic, or anything. So it was then that I saw the excitement that people brought to that Thanksgiving. It was then that it made meaning. Because the Thanksgiving took place 5 years after.
Oh, it was 5 years after?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The Thanksgiving took, because it was because of all these things that now we'll put them together and say, you are the first, and then let people must know.
Okay. Okay.
Then the first time that I will appear in a major program was when Professor Solebo Goro was made a professor. Okay. So the day he was doing his own Thanksgiving in Ngwanga, he invited me as the guest. He called it. There's a way, academics have a way of coining something.
Okay.
He called it the visiting clergy.
Oh.
I was called the visiting clergy. So when I got there, the moment when I just entered the crowd, see everywhere, our bishop is around. And I went with my food. There's some other men of God from the Sawa, this year, and my entourage. We entered. I was thinking it was going to be like the normal me that anytime I was going to anywhere. Where? It was then that I said, okay, I think this bishop thing is a very serious issue. And when I was given opportunity to speak, yes, that was when I finished, the ex-students of Gindri, who were professors, how do you call it? It was, yes, and they learned that I was also, they were rivals. Okay. Kuru and Gosa we were always rivals. That they came around, they say, oh, we are happy that you are part of us, and please make sure all the denominations in Tafa Balewa and Bogoro, you are a father to all of them. Don't discriminate. Okay. And that is what I've been doing. Okay. I think I've supported Kokin more than any other. My humanitarian programs have helped their own people more than any other denomination in Tafa Balewa and Baptist State.